Hi, it's Transforming Ty here, back with another video. Yes, this one, it'll be a bit different this time. I'm going to get more into depth with how I basically started my weight loss journey to losing 26 stone or 365-ish pound for my American audience. Yeah, I'm just going to highlight the main things that sort of I went through and how I sort of, you know, because when you start, it's a bit of a minefield because it's like, wow, it's a lot to sort of grasp and understand and then implement all these new ways of living, because it is a whole new way of living when you start to learn all these little lessons. You just have to put them into place bit by bit by bit, and over time it just becomes more of a new habit. So that's the whole point. You've got to build new habits and make them just a routine and just become a part of your new life, because that's what it's got to be. Because you've got to get rid of the old life and just enjoy the new one, because you want to build a life for yourself. You want to get out there and do all the things that you dreamed of. Because I remember when I was at my biggest, I dreamed of getting on an airplane. I dreamed of driving, you know. I dreamed of so many things that I thought were impossible. And they were impossible because I literally at that point couldn't do any of that. I could barely walk about, you know. I could move, luckily. I could move a bit, but not as much as I wanted to. That's the point. There's a lot of things I wanted to do, but I just couldn't do it. I just couldn't do it. So I knew that, you know, I needed to lose weight, because that's the whole point of it. I needed to lose weight. So this is what's going to be the new sort of mini series. Over the next 3 videos, I'm going to be giving you my top 3 main tips that I did and still do. How I put them into place and how I sort of learn all the ways and how I should go about it, because there's a lot of trial and error, which you still have to do it even with these tips, but you have to make them fit and suit yourself. So this is going to be video 1 of 3, and the first video, I won't tell you what the rest of them are because you have to obviously find out for yourselves. The first one, this one, is going to be about calories. So the main thing that I'm going to go over in this video, which I would say is the most important part of any weight loss, even weight gain, if you're on a different sort of, because people still, you know, want to gain weight as well at the other extreme end, because it's literally one or the other with some people, you know. But I'll focus obviously from my journey and my perspective was when I was at my biggest. I obviously knew that I was eating way too much food. It wasn't like a Sherlock Holmes moment. It was like, I've got to figure out the problem here. It's like a no shit Sherlock, you know. So I'm like, wake up and sort of smell the coffee and like basically wake up and just stop eating so much. That's basically the problem. Eating too much, not understanding the calorie content of food, not understanding too much about, you know, what am I doing to myself, but also accepting what I'm doing to myself, because, you know, when you get to a certain size, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure it out. You know, you're eating too much, you're eating the wrong things, you get the point. So I knew, being at the weight I was, I must be eating a shit ton of calories. I mean, I'm talking, I used to eat huge share bag of crisps, and I'm talking for the UK, we've got like 200 gram crisps or chips in America, tubs of Pringles, 200 gram tubs. I mean, if you notice these days as well, they're getting a bit smaller for their big portions. We're talking about England sizes. Have you noticed that? That might be a good thing actually, because you eat less. But anyways, that's a side topic. But yeah, it's I used to eat a whole one of them a day, easy. Sometimes 2. Sometimes I'll eat a little bit, save it for a bit later. So I will, like, you know, save myself for later. You know, I'll save a few hundred calories for later. I eat some peanuts, share bars of chocolates. Have you noticed? All this is share. Share. They say it's share. I won't share with no one. I'll share it with myself a bit later on. That's what I was doing. But if you break it down and look at all the calories I was eating, and that's just the snack stuff, the food stuff I was eating, takeaways pretty much every day. I'd have pizzas, I'd have kebabs, as well as the foods I would cook. So I'd have oven foods, or like oven crap foods, like, again, chips and pizzas, and chips as in like fries in America. So it's all like the convenient slash not very calorie dense foods, which is a bit, you know, it's not the best of things to eat, because, well, they're not nutritiously valuable really. There's a bit in them, if you eat them within reason, but I was eating them way beyond reason. I was eating, when I say pizzas, like 20-inch pizzas, which is quite hard to get in the UK, but 20-inch pizzas, I'd order 2 of them, and I'd eat one, and I'd have the other one for sort of, again, breakfast the next day, or a little midnight snack, or you get the point. So if I was to work out all the calories I was eating, we're talking upwards of 8 to 10,000, pretty much, I'd say. I mean, I will do that one day. I'll actually do a video, go over what I used to eat, and I'd obviously do a little tally up of all the stuff that I used to eat, and it will be quite an impressive video, I think. And I might even do a video one day and try and eat some foods, or the diet that I used to eat, because I've tried it over the years. I've tried to, let's see how many calories I can eat. I can't really crack more than 6. I really push it, but that's a different kind of video. And if you're interested in that, just let me know. Because yeah, I'm up for all the fun. Because this is all about serious. It's all about learning. But it's all about, you know, being serious with it. So I knew obviously I had to be in a calorie deficit, and a calorie deficit is simply eating less calories in general. So like, say you've got 3,000 calories, you eat 500, sorry, you eat 500 less. So there's your 500 calorie deficit. So now you're eating 2,500. That is your deficit. A deficit is just less calories. And then you've got your surplus, is what everyone is in when you're gaining weight. You're eating a surplus of calories. You're eating a surplus of unneeded calories. So this is where you then have to work out, okay, so how many calories do I need for myself? Now, for me, I didn't just go, oh, let me just go online and just type it all in. For me, I knew I just had to cut back on things and just stop eating too much of everything. So I just started eating less of things, being more conscious of what I was doing, not going too crazy. I'd have share bags of crisps. Yes, I still eat them, but I'll buy maybe multi-packs of crisps. So I'll have small portions. And when I have meals, I won't have just like a whole pizza. I'll buy smaller pizzas or less calorie. So I'll look at the calories on boxes and be like, right, this is a 1,200 calorie pizza. This one's 800 calories. It's less calories. And so on and so on and so on, and buy little yogurt pots. Their portions 100 to 200 calorie yogurt. So I knew that having these portioned foods were less calories because they are portioned. And I can choose to have 1, 2 or 3 rather than a share this or a family that, like a big huge lasagna, for example, or a huge pizza for like a family, which I'd eat the whole thing of. So I sort of, in a sense, portion controlled, but by buying single packet items or multi-pack items where they're individually sort of portioned. So then that was giving me some sort of success. And as you know, you do a bit well, and then it starts to, you gain a bit of weight, and it's just a bit of a yo-yo, but you know, you just stick with it for a bit and you start to feel like, right, I can do a bit more now. So that's when I started looking on Google and finding out simply like, how many calories do I need? Now at that point, obviously I was huge, so my calories to maintain was a lot. So really, for me to be in a deficit, it's quite easy. You know, I could literally half my calories and I'd lose weight very rapid, because if I was to drop my calories, for example, 6,000, 8,000 down to 3,000, 4,000, I'd be in like a 2,000 calorie deficit a day, 3,000 calories. And at the end of a week, I could lose about £5 a week, you know, pretty, when I say easy, I mean, you know, within reason. So this is where I had to figure out calorie deficits, how many calories I need to eat, and yada, all this extra stuff. So I'm gonna basically break it down in simple terms for you. Like, you want to find out your calories. So you've got calorie calculators online, and the easiest one to sort of, the easiest two that you probably know of and you hear of. If you don't, then the simplest form is you've got TDEE, which is your total daily energy expenditure, I think it is. I've written it down somewhere. It's total daily energy expenditure. That is TDEE. So that takes into consideration your calories for you, yourself. So you go online, type in TDEE calculator, and that will bring up a little box of things. So you put in, you know, your sex, so it's like male, female, age, height, weight, and your activity levels. Now this is the bit where it can get very tricky. Now when you put activity levels, depending on what your circumstances are, it might say activity levels sedentary, moderately active, all the way up to you're an athlete, 6 days a week, you're going mental. You're giving it some every day. If you're quite a sedentary person, but you go, oh, I'll go on a little walk here and there, don't say you're moderate, because that calculator of them give you a few more calories to eat. I always say to people, always underestimate your activity levels. So just knock it back and say, maybe if you're moderately active, and you truthfully are, there's levels between moderate and high activity. So just step it back 1 or 2 steps, because that will just drop off a couple hundred calories. And then your work, again, it will say to you, do you have a physical job, sedentary job, desk job, you know, walking about, or you're on your feet constantly? Again, step it back a little bit, and don't be sort of like, yeah, I ain't gonna lie to myself. I basically pretend that I'm an athlete, and I'm at the gym 6 days a week, and I work on my feet every day. That's not true for most people. Let's be honest. So you then get this number. So it goes, oh look, for example, for me, it'd say, mine now will be roughly about maintenance calories. Now maintenance is obviously what you'd need to maintain your weight. So you could eat them calories every day and you won't get no bigger, in theory, and you won't lose no weight. So the next thing you want to work out is obviously, you want to find out that your actual maintenance calories. So that is where you can base your next step, is to work out your deficit. Now, for an average of a pound loss a week, you want to be in a deficit of about 500 calories a day. So 500 times it by 7 days is 3,500 calories. Now, 3,500 calories is equivalent to 1 pound in fat. Don't sound like a lot, because when people are very overweight and they lose 1 pound, you think, 1 pound, I've got hundreds of pounds to lose. This is going to take forever. But this is where, when you have your deficit, you can decide on yourself, depending on how much body fat you need to lose. You could be in 1,000 calorie deficit a day. You could be 1,500. At one point, I was in 2,000 to 3,000 calorie deficit, because obviously I was such a huge body weight. I could get away with eating a lot less calories, because I don't physically need that to keep me alive, because I have such an excess of body fat, which is an excess of calories. That's basically where it's been stored as fat. Excess calories equals excess fat, because it's stored in your body, if that makes sense. That's how you gain fat. And then when you're in the opposite, in a deficit, your body won't have them calories, because you're not eating at maintenance. You're eating a deficit, so your body will call upon your fat reserves and use them as your energy. So I hope that makes sense to you. Again, if there's any questions or anything, just literally comment, and I'll reply to them, or even do another video if it's needed. I'm just sort of briefly touching on these subjects, but they're enough to be, what I would say, enough to get you going if you're not quite sure. Because if I heard all these things I'm saying, to me that would be enough to be like, oh yeah, that makes sense. So that's in a sense your TDEE. So that is what I would use if you fill all the boxes out correctly and realistically. Don't lie, just make a number up. And then your BMR is your basal metabolic rate. Basal metabolic rate. Now your BMR is the other end of, say, the TDEE, because the TDEE takes into account the calories that you need for you, as in your height, sex, age, yada yada, plus activity. Now the BMR is your basal metabolic rate. Basal meaning the calories that you need for your height, sex, age, not including activity. That's basically the calories that you need just to keep you alive. So basically, heart, brain, breathing. If you was basically laying in a coma and you're not moving, you're just alive, barely. To keep you ticking over, that is basically your BMR. So at rest, that is what you need. And that will be a hugely different number from, say, your TDEE. So your TDEE, for example, may say 2,500 to 3,000. Your BMR, probably say 1,500, 1,600. And you think, oh, that's a huge difference there. But that's not taking into consideration any movement. You're not standing up, you're not walking, you're not moving your arms, you're not... Every single action we do, fidgeting, just tapping your feet, walking up the stairs rather than taking the lift, all these things count to your extra burn. I can get into another video about these things, but these are basically in short terms, in simple terms, it's just extra activity you do equals extra burn. It's only a few calories here, a few calories there, but these are, in a sense, what makes up your TDEE, so sort of your extra burn. So basically your BMR, I would say to anyone, never eat below your BMR. It's not saying that you eat below your BMR and you'll die because you're not eating enough calories. No, you won't die, but you'll feel very shit. That's basically as blunt as I can say. You won't feel great at all, because after a few days, you'll feel very... I've done it myself, be honest. When in my early days, I didn't know how many calories to eat. I was eating probably between 1,200, 1,300 calories, 1,500, and at that point, I was still big. So that's a huge deficit where after a while, it took its toll and I was just, I can't do this for too long. And then obviously you start to eat some more calories again, and you just sort of yo-yo back and forth because you're not getting the right where you should be. You want to be in a deficit which is maintainable over a long period of time, but enough to be like, it doesn't feel too serious. It's not hard work. You just want to be like, oh yeah, I can do this. So I then, you know, have to figure out, right, you got your BMR, this is the lowest calories, but don't eat below that. You got TDEE, which is like roughly what I need. And then on these calculators, you can say I'll lose £1 a week, £2 a week, but we just work out for yourself is how many calories less can I eat a day, comfortably. So you go, right, I'll start off with say 500 calories less a day. Do that for a few weeks, see how you're looking on the scales and see how you feel, and if you're feeling very hungry, and you have to give it time. This is the key, you have to give it time. And you know, as a little bit of a side note, time in brackets is another slight video I might do, but yeah. You have to give this a lot of time to see the results and feel the results, to see if it's working, or you need to adjust it, or just give it time to see if it's going in the right direction. So that is the sort of the gist of finding your maintenance of TDEE/BMR, working out a calorie deficit for you that you obviously have to then, you get this number, you try these calories, be honest with these calories, don't eat over them, don't not track things, and don't just guess, because you're never going to really get anywhere if you're just sort of guessing and just going, that might do. You need to be very strict and honest with it, because this is yourself at the end of the day. You can't be cheating it like it's some exam, because this is you, the end result. If it's not going to work, it's not going to work, and you've only got yourself to blame. Or, on the other end, if you do all the hard work and you do everything that's needed and you're getting results, well done. You've got yourself to congratulate. So it's a two-way thing. If you want to feel good about doing the stuff and it's going to work for you, then make sure you just put in the work that you know is necessary. And so yeah, so that is basically the keys to finding out, so obviously how to get started about finding the calorie deficit, and what I then did to get me going. It took me a good few months to figure out all these, you know, what I did. And then, you know, to make it work, I just basically figured out, you know, I'll eat less calories here, less calories there. Understanding certain calories of food, certain foods are just very high in calories. I wanted to make sure I eat more protein, because again, protein is a good nutrient to stick to as a good base, because protein is like a building block of muscles, and you want to make sure you don't lose too much muscle, and you just live off fats and carbs. And you know, protein is a very, very important nutrient, if not the most important nutrient, because you get it's not very good if you don't eat a lot of protein. So I found out and learned. Luckily, I've always eaten a lot of meat throughout my life, so it's not hard for me to go eat more protein, or keep to a higher protein, but don't cut out protein. So keep the protein the main sort of target, and then you have some carbs around it. So you can have any sort of carbs. You want good carbs, you know, rices and pastas and potatoes, but you know, the good sources. High fibre is also good, so if you have carbs with good fibre, and that keeps you fuller for longer. So your protein will keep you fuller for longer also, because it's slow down. It's harder to break down. Your body breaks it down slower. So if you have that paired up with a good carb, which is high fibre, you're golden. So you know, I learned all these things over time. It's not like I just learnt this straight away. These are little things where I thought, right, that's gonna get me going. So then over time, I stuck to this deficit. Within reason. You're not going to be exact on the number every day. That's life. It's gonna go up a little bit. You're gonna go down some days. Some days you might have maintenance days. Realistically, you might have days where you go to maintenance or even have a little surplus. But the key is you just stick to this for the majority of the time, because it takes a long time to get there. So having a few days here and there is nothing. That's the key to it. You just have to stick to this for the majority of the time, and you'll start to see the progress. And that is basically the main sort of the gist of how I wanted to go about it. And I started seeing good results. And you know, after about a year, I was down a good few £100, or I can't remember exact weight, but it was a good 150 pound, around sort of 10, 12 stone. And then it just kept on going. And during all that time, I was learning all these different things about tracking foods. And then I bought myself a weighing scale for the kitchen, because I also wanted to take it another step about weighing my meals and weighing my portions. And I started tracking my calories more precisely. So I was, you know, I was actually writing them down with a pen and paper, my calories, my protein. I wanted to get very sort of precise about it, because I like doing that. But you can just get an app, which I use an app now because it's just a bit more convenient. But you just get an app, you plug in all these different numbers, what you're eating. A lot of my app these days, you scan the barcode and it comes up with the calories and the portions, and you just put in the number. Again, if you weigh it, you just put in the amount, and bingo, there's all your calories set out for you. So once you understand how to do it all, how the calories work, how a deficit works, how I should track it, you then, like I said, give it time, and you just have to keep on going. And that is the main sort of point, because for me, calories are key. This is what you have to understand. Calories are key. Whether you're losing weight, maintaining your weight, or gaining weight, calories is the number one, right? Now, I'm sure you understand this, but if you really understand this, this is what's going to determine your success. Because if you don't understand it, or you don't consciously believe and just be like, right, yeah, blah, 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 I'll have this extra this, or I'll have this extra that. Don't complain when it's not working, if you're not actually taking the right steps and eating the right amount of calories and understanding, because unfortunately, you have to learn quite a bit. But it's not a bad thing, because it's good skills to learn when you've finished losing weight. Because when you finish losing weight, the next is maintaining your weight and learning how to live with the new lifestyle. This is why I say take it easy when you're losing weight, because you learn all these new habits, skills and lessons along the way, and it becomes a lot easier. So, you know, that's most of what I wanted to sort of get across, is the main, you know, the main points is really understand the calories and what they do and what a deficit is, and then put it into place and put it into practice religiously. Don't deviate, don't change. And really, you just have to make sure that you're very consistent with it. You just have to. Whether there's days that goes up and down and whatever, you have to just stick with it, because it takes a long time. Can't remember the actual time, because there wasn't a period where I just sort of, right, day one I'm starting. It was sort of a on and off start for probably a few months, possibly a year. So yeah, a good 5 or 6 years since my biggest weight, from when my biggest weight was to now. It takes a lot, but I've covered most of the subjects, or in more depth than I wanted to, just to hopefully, you know, let people understand if this is a bit more easier to sort of get the grasp of. And I hope this has helped a few of you, or some of you, and if it has, please do give me a thumbs up and let me know if it's helped, because I love to just help people and just give them a bit of insight into how I went about things, and hopefully give a little bit of knowledge and help to someone else who's whatever journey, even if they're because this is what I keep putting back to it, is when I was at my biggest, if I see things like I am trying to put out now, that really would spur me on to be like, oh wow, look at him now, and look what he was, and look, this is what I'm trying to preach in the best way, not like a preacher, but in like, there's a life out there. You just have to live it. You really do. And I'm going to show more of that on the channel as time goes on. because we're only on this earth for a short period of time in the grand scheme of it, and you're never guaranteed the next day, the next birthday. You're never guaranteed all these things. So you want to just live life, and wanting to live life and not being able to, and them actions are sort of because of your own doing, in a sense of you gaining weight, and you can take control and change that. You can. You just need to believe you can and just get on with it. It's as simple as that. So I hope this video has helped and you've enjoyed it. Again, like I've said, if there's any questions, anything you're not sure of, drop it in the box below. Just literally comment something and let me know. If you do like it, please do give it a thumbs up. And if you're not subscribed, please do subscribe, because I love helping people. Like I've said, I want to get it out there and just be like, come on, you can do it. Seriously, you can. You just have to be so positive about it. You have to fool yourself and be like, even if you don't really feel like it, just do it. Because trust me, you'll be on the other end eventually, be like, wow, yeah, I've done it. And still doing it. And you just, yeah. So, like I've said, if you enjoyed it, let me know. If you know someone else that needs to hear about this, let them know. And the next video coming out will be sort of my second key / tip 2. That will be coming up soon. Like I said, I put this in like a mini series, so you've got all 3 videos. And yeah, just understand that if you are struggling, it is hard. You just got to get through it. Every day is a new day. So if it's not quite right that day, the next day you just go again. You go again. And over time, you'll have more the better days. So I'll leave it at that. And I hope you have a lovely day. And do something that's going to push you towards your goals. And not pull you back from them. So I'll leave it at that. And I'll see you soon. Take care.